Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I filmed an iPad video. Not that I film them all the time anyways, but I feel like I haven't filmed one since I got my iPad, and I feel like a lot and not a lot has changed with my iPad, so I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an updated what's on my iPad. I actually filmed this video when I first got my iPad. I'm going to have that video linked down below as well as the unboxing if you do want to check it out. I feel like I also did a how I take notes video, so I can have that linked down below as well. I might need to update that if you guys do ever want to see how I take notes. It definitely very much changed the method at which I take notes. Being in second year, being in person for school now, a lot has changed. So if you do want an updated video of that, I can totally do that. But I'm going to be showing you guys what's on my iPad today. New year, new setup. I actually changed my setup a couple months ago, but yes, I thought it was time for a little bit of an update and I wanted to show you guys. If you guys are new here, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to hit 10K. I'm very, very close. I'm almost at 7K, but definitely subscribe if you're new. Help me get to 10K. I also have all of my social media accounts linked down below if you ever do want to check it out. I already know I'm going to mention this in the video, but if you guys do want to see an updated what's on my iPhone, I've changed up a bunch of apps. I did a what's on my iPhone when I first got this phone about a couple months ago, almost a year ago. If you do want to see an update, let me know. But with that being said, I'm just going to hop right on into the video. So let's go see what's on my iPad. If you haven't seen any of my iPad videos, I have the iPad Pro 2020. So she's like a year and a half, 2 years old. Not the newest iPad anymore, but that's okay. Honestly, I feel like there's not a huge difference between the 2020 iPad and whatever the newest model is. So she's still up to date, but I do have the 12.9 inch in space gray. Let's just please, okay, I'm gonna take the case off. This is just so disgusting. Ugh. I wish I could say I have a bunch of iPad accessories. However, I just don't have a lot of iPad accessories. If you guys do have any recommendations, I really want to get a new case. I love this case, don't get me wrong, but if you can see, it just collects fingerprints a lot, and I wipe this down very, very often, and even though it's a dark print, it looks a little bit dirty. So I definitely want to get a new iPad case that's a little more protective. I've also mentioned this recently in a Christmas wish list, but I do also want to get a iPad keyboard case. I'm just looking to get maybe 1 or 2 more cases, one with a keyboard, and then maybe like a Casetify one that's simple if I can customize it. As I collect iPad accessories, I can do a video on that as well if you guys want to see like some of my iPad accessories. I can also just show it in a vlog. You just let me know what you want to see. I also had a company send me 2 cases as well, but I just liked how this was more sleek. Those ones were a little bit more bulky. I do like a good sleek iPad moment. That's my little tangent for you guys, but anyways, the case, not cute, kind of dirty. This also has 128 gigabytes on it, which is a good amount for me. I thought about it too. I have an external hard drive, so if I do ever find myself not having enough room on this, I have that, but I've had this for quite a while and I've never had an issue with storage, so it's done me pretty well. I also am a little bit embarrassed about the front of my iPad. I do have the paper-like screen protector. You can't, oh, wow, nice. Okay, you can't really see. I don't know if you can see when I turn on the screen. Maybe not. I don't know. I have the paper-like screen protector. I need to get a new one. I tried to put on a new one that I had and I messed it up, and then I ended up having to put on the old one that I was using, and now it has a bunch of air bubbles and it just doesn't look good. So that is a little bit of background information about my iPad, and now I'm going to actually show you guys everything that I have on my iPad. Alright, so the way that I have my iPad set up, you will see in a second, I have to kind of film this horizontally, so hopefully it all fits in the screen. It will make sense in a second, but I use my iPad more when it's horizontal. I normally have it sitting on my desk this way or on my shelf over there. I watch a lot of YouTube on my shelf. This here is my home screen. It's super boring. I made it in Canva. I just wanted something simple and that kind of matches the aesthetic. So this is my setup on my main page of my iPad. I made this whole little background in Canva, and let me tell you, that took quite a bit of time just because obviously I had to make it look like those apps are in that little square, and I had to resize it. It was a whole process. I looked on Pinterest for a lot of inspiration and on TikTok actually. So I'm just going to kind of go over everything on my main page first. First, I have a little area over here that has a couple of widgets in it. So I first have the calendar widget. I also have the same calendar widget in my phone. I really like just to see the date. It looks super nice. I have another widget of a quote. So that quote changes every hour. I think it's called motivation. I have this also on my phone. So I kind of tried to base it off of my phone setup that I had, but also like make it for my iPad. And then at the side here I have a little picture that also changes every hour, and that's actually connected to my Pinterest. So as you can see here, we're gonna go into my Pinterest later, but I have the same kind of thing on my phone, just in the little slide, if that makes sense, like, you know, when you slide over. And then at the bottom here, I have just my recents from my Notion. I like to have this if I want to quickly click on a page. It's just kind of all right there. And it also just looks really nice. So the apps that I have on my main page are Notion, Google Calendar, Google Keep, Spotify, a daily folder, and then 2 folders. I don't really have any names for it, so I just kind of put a little dash. Nice and simple, minimalistic, which I obviously really like. And then at the bottom here, I just have my messages. Is that iTunes? I don't even know. I don't use that music app. Honestly, I probably should delete it. I'm probably going to delete it because I don't use that. I use Spotify. And then I have my Gmail and then the recently opened apps. And then at the side, when you swipe, I have just the same 2 widgets of my little calendar. I have my personal calendar, which is why I'm not swiping to show it, just in case. I don't know. Privacy reasons? I don't know. I always get weird about that kind of stuff. And then I also have just like a little quote when you swipe at the side. I'll swipe and just cut it out so you can see my classes, but I'm like, is that, I don't know. I never know if to keep that private or not, you know? Anyway, so the first app I have, like I mentioned, is Notion. Notion is literally my brain in an app. I love Notion so much. If you don't know what Notion is, basically it's an app where you can kind of organize your life. That's the best way I can describe it. Kind of like a central hub for everything. You can make charts on there. You can make pages, a bunch of things. I'm actually not going to show my Notion in this video. I apologize for those who wanted to see it, but I do want to do a whole separate video of kind of walking you guys through my Notion and everything. So if you do want to see that, let me know. But I do want to do that video in the next few months, so stay tuned for that. I will not be showing my Notion, just so that can be a little bit of a surprise. Google is pretty self-explanatory, and then Google Calendar, like I mentioned before, I love Google Calendar. I use this in conjunction with Notion. I basically do my planning on here. I recently actually started doing time blocking because I need to buy a new paper planner, so I basically schedule out my day on my personal email on my Google Calendar, and then I have a separate email and separate Google Calendar for other things that aren't like personal, if that makes sense. Next app I have is Google Keep. Honestly, surprisingly enough, I don't use Google Keep that often just because I have Notion, and I've also been using my Notes app surprisingly a lot too. So I haven't really used Google Keep in a minute. I just have random lists on there. For example, I have like a grocery list. I'll just put honestly random lists on Google Keep. So yeah, Notion has changed my life, as you can tell, because I used to be obsessed with Google Keep. I use it here and there, but it's just not my daily app that I use anymore. Alright, next up we have my Spotify. I love Spotify, but I am obsessed with listening to podcasts recently. I've been listening to Gals on the Go, The Health Code Daily. They're kind of my 2 main ones, but sometimes I'll listen to Mindful Minutes Meditation when I'm trying to do a little morning meditation. Feel free to follow me on Spotify. I don't know how to show my main page. Oh, your library? I am most definitely a Spotify girl. Next thing I have is my daily folder, which the first thing in here is my Holy Bible. I actually use this every day when I do my little Bible study in the morning. I use my Bible app every day. I mostly use this on my phone, but sometimes I will use it on my iPad, and I just go in and do the verse of the day. They have a little video, they have a devotion. I really like it. I'm trying to make more of an effort to study my Bible and spend time with God in the morning, so I really do like this app. It's free, it's great. And then I just have my notes app. I have a bunch of notes in there, so I'm not going to open it just because like I have like some personal notes in there too. I will get into that another day. I actually have a method of planning that I do with my notes, and I will show you guys that in my Notion video. The next folder has my camera, my photos, and then Vsco. So Vsco is a photo editing app that I love to use, as you can tell. I don't even remember why I put this in Vsco, but this is my, this here is my Vsco account if you guys do want to follow me. I post there. I don't post as often, but I definitely do post there once in a while. So if you guys do want to follow me, you can check it out. My username is at the top here. I don't know why my username is so extra. Then I have my FaceTime app and my settings. I don't know why my iPad shows so many FaceTime notifications. I'm not missing calls that much, I don't think. So that is everything I have on the first page. That's kind of like the main page of my iPad. this is my reasoning for why I can't flip it to the side, because it just doesn't work, as you can see. So most of the time anyways, like I said, I'm sitting my iPad horizontally. So moving on to the next page, I have 4 apps that I use most frequently. In the top corner here, I have the apps that I use most frequently, and then I just have more folders. I also tried to mimic the way that I had my phone with the 4 apps, but the first 4 apps here is YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. YouTube is kind of obvious. I don't even know. Hey, Rachel. I was watching my friend Rachel's video. Check her out. Shout out to you, Rachel. The next app I have is Instagram. I actually recently changed my Instagram username to breehamiltonn with an extra N. My channel is no longer called thatsbreexo, and so I thought it was most appropriate, especially for the new year, to finally change my username. Yeah, my name is no longer thatsbreexo. So sad, but it's okay. Hopefully one day I can just get the username Bree. I have been trying for so long, or at least just breehamiltonn without the extra N, but for now, that's what I have to work with. So, okay, then I have TikTok. I honestly don't use this a lot on my iPad. Once in a while, maybe I'll go on it, but I'm mostly using it on my phone, and it's not like I'm filming videos on my iPad either for TikTok. But if you guys do want to follow me, my username is at @notbreehamiltonn, so it's linked down below if you ever want to check out my TikTok. And then I have Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I cannot say this enough. I use Pinterest so much. I also recently started posting on Pinterest, which is something that I learned from TikTok. It's a very good thing to post on Pinterest when you're an influencer. So here's the posts that I have so far, and then I have a bunch of boards as well. If you ever do want to check out my Pinterest, highly recommend it. I work very hard on it to make sure that it's just cute and looks good. Alright, so I'm going to move on to the folders now. The first folder I have is content. These are all the apps that I use for various social media accounts. I use my iPad a lot for my YouTube actually. So I have Planoly, Unfold, Lightroom, Photoshop Mix, YouTube Studio, Procreate, Magic Eraser, Airbrush, and Canva. Planoly, I use that on my phone for my Instagram, but on my iPad, I use it for my photography Instagram. I actually do have a photography little side hustle that I do. I take pictures. It's my little business, and so that's kind of how I plan my feed, and I separate it from my phone. I also have Unfold. I use that when I'm making Instagram stories and doing little graphics there. Lightroom I use here and there when I'm editing photos depending on kind of the vibe I want for the picture. I only use that for my photography account. And then Photoshop Mix I have not used in a while. I'm trying to dabble into it and kind of just build my Photoshop skills for purposes of my photography Instagram, like I said before. Being more creative, learning how to make graphics. So that app is not in use a lot right now. But this summer I do want to take maybe a class on graphics or something. What's that website called? It's not Squarespace. Another website that YouTubers always talk about and you can take classes. I can't remember the name. But anyways, I want to take a class maybe on graphics in Photoshop. Then I have YouTube Studio, which is just kind of my YouTube analytics, nothing too crazy. The next app I have is Procreate. I love this app so much. I actually make my thumbnails on here. For example, I drew this little doodle in the corner, but I do like to draw my thumbnails and kind of do the final touches here, and also make little graphics for my channel. Then I have the app called Magic Eraser that basically lets you erase the background, so that comes in handy when I'm making thumbnails. Airbrush, I also use that for my thumbnails, but that's basically how I can get the background blurrier in my thumbnails. Alright, moving on to Canva. I love this app. I used to use PicMonkey, but now I'm a Canva girl. Okay, it's not logged in. I swear I was logged in on my iPad, but I use Canva for my thumbnails. I also have Canva on my phone. It's good for making graphics. I also have used it to make graphics for my sorority. I just love Canva. I make mood boards on there. I mostly use it on my computer, but I will from time to time use it on my iPad. This is my school folder. I used to use my iPad a lot for school, but because school is in person now, I use it in conjunction with my computer. I have Files, Drive, Docs, Good Notes, Outlook, Acrobat, PDF Expert, Print, Read Anywhere, Sheets, Teams, and Zoom. Files, I don't remember why I kept this on my iPad, but this is just a Apple app that they put on there. I don't remember why I kept that here though. I have Google Drive, which is for obvious reasons. I have Google Drive for my photography account where I upload the pictures that I take for people. I also use it to organize like my notes for school and everything from my Google Docs, if that makes sense, to put it in different folders. I have Google Docs. Obviously, if you're using Word, I love Google Docs. You can access it from literally anywhere, which is why I love it so much. Last time I checked, Word can't do that, but I know that there's a bunch of apps now, so that might be different. Next thing I have is GoodNotes. So GoodNotes is kind of what I use to note take. This year, I do not take notes on my iPad. I actually do class review pages, which is what this is from my class last semester. Go into my notes that I type up on Google Docs, and then I will take key points from those notes and put them into my little class review page. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't the best at doing class review pages for my classes last semester, so that's a goal I have this semester. This is just an example of a class review page, but I try to do this at the end of every week for each of my classes. I have Outlook, which is my email for school, Acrobat, and PDF Expert. Those are two like PDF reading apps that you can use. So sometimes if I have an online textbook, I can put it on the app. I will airdrop it and then open it through that app, and then I can read it on there. That's another way I use my iPad, is for all of my textbooks. I don't like carrying textbooks. I don't like buying big chunky textbooks. Also, I try my best to find free textbooks online through Z Library, if you know what that is. I have Canon print, pretty self-explanatory. Read Anywhere. I actually am going to delete that app, but that is how I had my psych textbook from first year. Another pretty self-explanatory app, but I used to use Google Sheets a lot when organizing things like Christmas gifts or birthday gifts. Teams is another app I use for my one class at school. I can talk to my prof on this app and my classmates, I guess. I don't really know how to explain Teams, but it just makes sense. So, and then I have Zoom. I mostly use Zoom on my computer, but I do have it here if I ever need it. If I want to go on my laptop and I want my Zoom to kind of sit at the side there. The next folder I have is Lifestyle. This is very like vague. There's only 3 apps in here, but I have Netflix and Disney Plus if I ever want to watch those through my iPad. I also use my computer a lot for that too, but I want to start using my iPad just because might as well. It's a really nice big screen. And I have Headspace, which I have yet to use, but I'm trying to get more into meditation and just be better with meditating, so I wanted to try out Headspace. The last app I have on my iPad is in my games folder. I have Fortnite. I'm probably going to delete this too, because if you didn't know, Fortnite is not an app anymore. They took it out of the App Store, and I have a PlayStation that I have Fortnite on. So this is basically taking up unnecessary room on my iPad. I keep swaying to the side. I am literally gonna hate myself editing. Anyways, that is everything on my iPad, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's all. Alright guys, so that is everything on my iPad. There wasn't a ton of apps, but I feel like I had enough to show. I don't like to clutter up my iPad, if you can't tell already. I only like to have the apps I need. Also, please, I am sorry for the lighting. I don't know what's going on. It's sunny, but it's not sunny. It's just, it looks so depressing. Where is the color in my video right now? Anyways, I love you guys so much. Let me know if you want to see any of the videos that I mentioned, what's on my iPhone, how I take notes, anything like that. Let me know down below in the comments, or if you even want to see more iPad videos, I can come up with something. Love you all so very much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!